The year is 284 AD, and a new emperor has ascended to the throne of the once great Roman Empire. The chaos of the previous years has left the empire weak. Diocletian faces his greatest challenge in the east, the Sassanid Empire, where Shapur I enslaved a previous Roman emperor, using him as a footstool before flaying him alive. Against all odds, Diocletian had an idea to save the empire. He would divide Rome's territories into 4 districts, each governed by a different ruler, and therefore the Tetrarchy was born. He would also redistribute the Roman army, bringing Rome's forces back to one of the most hostile locations on the face of the earth. You can imagine the reaction of a Roman soldier when they were stationed in what is now Jordan's Wadi Arba. Known for earthquakes, bitter waters, and scorching heat, this region has been referred to as an extreme desert. Today, this area is characterized by saline mudflats, ferocious winds, and deep sand dunes. And in the middle of this desert is the site of Ayn Gharandal.
We're frequently asked why we choose to work in this region. Most Americans are aware of conflict in the Middle East, but few understand the power dynamics between rulers and the ruled and the way the relations interact with the natural environment. By studying Roman governance, we hope to understand better the complex nature of conflict, both ancient and modern. We are not the first Westerners to be drawn to this region. In 1902, a Czech explorer, Alois Musil, visited the site, and T.E. Lawrence of Arabia followed in 1912. Lawrence also noticed the extreme environmental conditions, commenting on the brackish water from the local spring, the sparse vegetation, and deep sand, a land fit only for camels. Although Musil generated the first type map of Ayn Gharandal, no one excavated the site until 2009, when the site was being looted, as you can see in these photos of the looters' debris. We then decided, despite the climate, to begin the Ayn Gharandal Archaeological Project. What we found was astonishing. Those same inhospitable sands were hiding 3 meters of Roman structures in near pristine state.
We began by excavating what proved to be a Roman bathhouse. The looters had disturbed one room of the structure, the warm room. Despite damage to this room and the caldarium or hot room to its south, they both still contained flue pipes to heat the walls and a raised floor held up by bricks under which hot air would have been blown in from the furnace. To the west of these rooms, we uncovered the frigidarium or cold room, and a room with a finely paved floor and a deep channel running along its 2 walls. This is a Roman latrine. It's so well preserved that you can see the place along where the wooden seats would have fit along the plastered mud brick wall. We were unprepared for what we found on the bath's walls: Greek graffiti, depictions of camels, Roman ships, and naked male bathers. Even more curious, we found what we hypothesized to be an early Christian symbol, a Chi-Rho. Obviously, we're still trying to understand the connections between these images.
Moving to the Roman fort, we have excavated several areas along the fort's curtain walls. Along the north wall, we found 3 rooms with arches running parallel to the fort. These rooms have produced our best samples of domestic remains, including many whole vessels, oil lamps, a bone pin, and a metal makeup applicator. The area also produced evidence for secondary occupation after the fort was abandoned. Along the west wall of the fort, and at the highest elevation, we uncovered the remains of at least 20 individuals so far. Given the orientation of the bodies toward Mecca, we currently assume that they are Islamic period or later. Under the graves, we found monumental piers in collapse, indicating a special status for this particular room, perhaps as an officer's quarters. In fact, in 2011, this same area produced hundreds of fragments of painted plaster. Here you see Abby Turner excavating some of the largest pieces. Owing to the harsh environment, we removed the plaster and covered it with sand. Only 4 months later did we realize we had at least 20 partial lines of text. These include a narrative about the Roman army and a list of names, some of which are from the local Nabatean population.
Finally, excavation of the fort's gate was one of the major goals for 2013. It revealed what you see before you, not the flags. The original gate was subsequently narrowed in a later period, as indicated by the walls inside of the gate's entrance and the secondary threshold stone. The gate also produced an assemblage of whole ceramic vessels. In the second week, we uncovered a collapsed arch, and directly above it, fallen face down in the desert sand, was a large inscribed limestone block, pictured here with the UT students who helped discover it. The stone was quickly delivered to the conservation lab in Amman, and the Latin inscription confirms that the fort was founded under Diocletian and the other tetrarchs around 300 AD as a base for the second cohort of Galatians, who were likely brought to the area about 170 years earlier to help suppress the Second Jewish Revolt. Other sources place this unit at a site called Ariel Dela, the location of which had been previously unknown.
Thus, Ayn Gharandal has already helped us understand the complex nature of power relations in this region. Rome's governance of the territory and its co-option of the water source indicated that this outpost is not an inn for weary travelers, but the presence of locals among the list of names from the officers' quarters argues that locals were not shunned. In fact, these inhabitants were likely of Nabatean descent. Beyond studying conflict in the past, the project seeks to prevent conflict in the present by forming cross-cultural relations between researchers, students, and local inhabitants. While the project is at its core a family business, we have assembled an international team with researchers from 17 different institutions and 4 different countries. Running the project is an exercise in international relations. In the 2013 season, UT students joined our project. They spent 5 weeks exploring the modern Middle East and learning the ins and outs of archaeological field methodology alongside students from at least 4 other institutions, field staff from prestigious graduate programs, and some of the world's foremost experts on a variety of topics in the archaeology and history of Jordan. One of our goals is for students to gain an awareness of their own place in a global community. There is no better way to accomplish this goal than to work side by side in the blistering heat with Jordanians day in and day out for 4 weeks. Students develop meaningful relationships, live and breathe a culture quite distinct from their own, and emerge changed. We feel strongly that these experiences are what teach the type of civility and engagement that UT values. In closing, we'd like to thank the University of Tennessee for its support of this project and the Department of Antiquities of Jordan, with whom we have partnered for so many years, and above all, the students whose hard work has made all of this possible. And we hope to see some of you in 2015.